Hello, and welcome back to yet another draft video. NFC West draft grades. There's going to be some bias involved here because this is my division. And what I mean by my division is I'm a Seahawks fan, and I'm going to have some strong takes here. Let's get right into it, man. I'm not going to hold y'all. How y'all doing today? I'm doing wonderful. Let's get going, man. First team up, team that had the highest pick out of any of these teams, the Cardinals. And who did they take with that very high pick? They took Marvin Harrison Jr. This is an A plus. Obviously they did what everybody expected them to do, but there is still genius in that because you see a lot of teams overthinking, a lot of teams trying to be too smart, too cute, and they end up fucking shit up. So Cardinals took Marvin Harrison Jr., A plus, arguably the best player in the entire draft. And, he is going to come in and presumably, if he stays healthy, be a Pro Bowl caliber receiver from day one. I honestly believe that. So, shout out to the Cardinals for making the obvious pick right there. Number 27, they took Darius Robinson. And on paper, you may be like, whoa, wow, really? How did this happen? But because in the first round, it was complete opposite of what I thought was going to happen, meaning that all of the edge rushers flew off the board early, like earlier than even I expected. Like even guys like Chop Robinson, went in the top like 25, I believe. So there was a run on edge rushers, and the Cardinals here at 27 ended up just sitting back and taking the best available. Darius Robinson, not a name you really saw that often in the first round, but he really showed up at the Senior Bowl, was very good there, put his name on the map per se, and he went in the first round because of it. So I gave that a B plus because obviously they needed help with the pressure off the edge, and Darius Robinson I think is going to provide that for them. Is he a guy you probably thought was going to go in the first round? No, but it's still a solid selection. Would I still have gone cornerback here? Absolutely, but you can't be mad at that. I think B plus is more than fair for Robinson at 27, Max Melton at 43. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. They had pick number 35, I believe. They traded back to get an extra third round pick. When they traded from number 35, Cooper DeJean, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Kamari Laster were all on the board. They got taken at 40, 41, and 42, which left the Cardinals at 43 to take the fourth best corner out of all of those guys. Now, look, Max Melton's not a bad player. He was projected to go in the middle to late of the second round, and he went in the middle of the second round. So that's not an issue there. But my problem is that when you have a glaring need, and now let's get this right, this is what they had. They had a glaring need at corner, and you have three corners better than Max Melton available, and you walk away with none of those guys, that's a bad decision. That's a horrible decision. They could have taken DeJean Kool-Aid at number 35, and I would have given them an A plus. I would have given them an A plus. However, they traded down for an extra third rounder. And I'm gonna show you who that third rounder was, okay? And you tell me if Max Melton and that guy are better than Kool-Aid or Cooper DeJean, okay? Because I disagree. I gave it a B because it's a bad trade and you lost out on much, much better prospects, in my opinion. So that was a bad move by the Cardinals. Number 66, they took Trey Benson. Trey Benson, according to a lot of people, there's a lot of different opinions on as far as who the best running back in his class is. A lot of people think it's Trey Benson. And so if you get the possibility of that guy at the top of the third round, I gave it an A. I don't, for some reason, I just don't really believe in James Conner, which is kind of unfair for me because he's had 3 straight years of over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. He led the league in touchdowns, I believe, 3 years ago. And last season, he averaged over 5 yards per carry. So, James Conner, not a bad player at all, but I think he's about to turn 30. And I think Trey Benson is going to come in and immediately be their third down back, provide some help in the pass game. And I think by the end of next season, he probably is going to be the starter. 2 years from now, definitely the starter. So I really like that pick by the Cardinals, investing in a future running back. You already got Marv. So they're really, trying to improve that offense in terms of explosive weapons here. Number 71, they took Isaiah Adams out of Illinois. This is the problem with I have with this pick, right? He's not a tackle. Well, I guess he kind of is a tackle, but he is going to project to be a guard in the NFL because they already have Paris Johnson Jr. You signed Jonah Williams to a 3-year pretty big contract. So you're not going to draft a tackle here, right? So you drafted a tackle who apparently, this is what I've heard, gave up 9 sacks. You drafted that guy, going to move him into guard, hope he transitions well. He's played guard in college, obviously, but why draft a guy who you're going to have to move to guard when Christian Hayes and Cooper Beebe are on the board right there? That's what I'm not understanding here. Both those guys who are natural guards are sitting right there, and you took a guy that you're going to have to convert to guard who also possibly gave up 9 sacks. So that's not a good pick at all, in my opinion. I gave that a C plus. Right here, pick number 82. This is the pick. This is the extra third rounder they got for moving back and missing out on Kool-Aid and Cooper DeJean. It's a blocking tight end out of Illinois. This guy does not really provide anything in the receiving game. Think Luke Schoonmaker last season from the Cowboys, but at least this was third round, not the second round. I didn't love this pick either, man. I understand you need a blocking tight end on if you're an NFL team, but to spend a third round pick on that guy, I gave it a B because I can see the vision, right? But they already have Trey McBride. I don't love this pick, to be honest. Number 90, you took another cornerback, Elijah Jones out of Boston College. Um, a ball hawk, really. Got a lot of interceptions. I have no issue with doubling down on cornerback here. This was a really good pick, in my opinion, for the Cardinals. Their secondary was the worst in the NFL last season, I think. So take 5 BBs for all I care. I'm gonna support any of that. Same thing with the Adrian Taylor Dimerson out of Texas Tech. Shorter guy, zone safety, plays back, breaks up deep balls, picks off deep balls. So I gave that a B plus as well. Again, they just simply need help. They need help in the secondary. Outside of Buda Baker, I don't think I could say anything positive about that unit. So Elijah Jones, DTD, I like both those picks. 138, we got Xavier Thomas, defensive end. I'm not sure I love doubling down on D end here. This is a guy a little above where he was projected to go. Not really. Here's my problem, right? He's a 25-year-old developmental pass rusher. And what that means is he's about to be 25 years old, and he hasn't shown much so far in terms of getting after the quarterback, which I don't love. If he was 22 and needed to work on his pass rush moves, that'd be different. But 25 needs to work on his pass rush moves. That's a bit of an issue. So I gave that a B because look, the Cardinals have a bit of an unfair advantage here where every single position is a need. Like, you get what I'm saying? They were so bad where anything they draft is basically going to be, a hole. So they have an unfair advantage there. So obviously, defensive end, yeah, fuck it, take as many as you want. But Xavier Thomas at 138, I don't love that value. I gave that a B. Christian Jones, though, I gave this an A. He was their steal of the draft, projected to be a third rounder, fell all the way to what is this, the fifth, sixth round? That's great value, insane value. Only reason it's not an A plus is because, something unforeseen would have to happen to Jonah Williams or Paris Johnson for this guy to see the field. But a developmental tackle, 2 years from now, take over for Jonah Williams. I really like that. I think it's a really good pick. Gave it an A. Great job by the Cardinals here with Christian Jones. And these last two picks, honestly, I'm not sure either of these guys are going to make the roster. Tawan Palmer, he was not ranked in the top 300, I believe. Doesn't really provide. He's a deep threat, I guess, but there were other guys available if you just want that. Taj Washington, Brendan Rice. I gave this a C because I don't think he's going to make the roster, so it's basically a waste of a sixth round pick. Then you got Jaden Davis, undersized cornerback. I don't think he's going to make the roster either. Did not grade that one at all. So their top 10 is really what we're talking about here, right? And it graded out to a 5.91, which I decided to round up to be a B plus. And the thing about the Cardinals here, they're top 10 picks, right? Because Tawan Palmer, Jane Davis, I'm not too sure. But these top 10 picks, man, I think, you know, I think you got a good amount of guys here that are going to be able to contribute for you long term, right? And when you're a roster as bad as the Cardinals were last season, you need a big haul, and that's what they got. They got a top 10, which I'm pretty confident in, six of those 10 to be role players for them for a long time, right? So at least role players, probably just good starters overall. So Cardinals did a really good job here, to be honest. A couple picks I disagree with, but still, good draft overall. Next up, we got the 49ers, who shocked the world with their first pick being Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. Honestly, I don't really like this move on any level. Ricky Pearsall, the player, honestly, I had a mid to late second round grade on him. And what that means is depending on how the rest of the wide receivers kind of flew off the board, I could have seen him going in the like mid 40s. But if receivers weren't really going that strongly, I also could have seen this guy fall into the 60s, right? So to go in the first round, definitely I think is a reach on Ricky Pearsall. But also the 49ers, right? offensive tackle that wasn't really an option at 31, right? All of the top tackles that kind of got off the board at this point. So you would have had to reach to take a tackle. So I don't mind you not doing that. But cornerback was such an issue for them last season. And you had Kool-Aid Cooper DeJean sitting right there. Even if you would have took a guy like Kamari Laster, I don't think anybody would have had a problem with that. But a wide receiver, and not even the best wide receiver, in my opinion, you got Keon Coleman, A.D. Mitchell, Lad McConkey, all guys I think would have been better picks than Ricky Pearsall. I'm not really sure what the plan was here, but I don't know. Even Xavier Legette, it's just you drafted, in my opinion, the fifth best receiver on the board, maybe even sixth considering Troy Franklin. But let me just pitch you a scenario right here, right? So at number 31, right, the Niners pick Cooper DeJean, for example. And at number 64, they take, I don't know, Troy Franklin, Luke McCaffrey, who are the guys that fell into the third round? There were a lot of good players that fell into the third round. But you know what I'm saying? That would have been so much better than what they did here because they took Renardo Green at the end of the second round, who is not even a boundary corner. He's a nickel corner, a pretty solid nickel corner, great in press man coverage, very good in the first, 10 to 15 yards. But in terms of actually being a boundary corner, he doesn't feel that need. So I gave it a B because, yeah, they need corner, but I thought boundary corner was, more of a need there. So first two picks, honestly, I think that the Niners really mismanaged it, to be honest with you. I don't think they did what a lot of people were hoping they would. And I think there's a lot of scenarios where they could have walked out much better than they did with their first two picks. Number 86, though, Dominic Pooney, very good pick here. Obviously, they needed help on the offensive line. Here's a guy who could possibly play right tackle, but if not, he's going to be a damn good guard in the NFL and possibly right away. Out of all their picks, honestly, I don't think many of these guys are going to contribute immediately. Maybe Pearsall becomes their wide receiver three, but I think Dominic Pooney, out of all the guys in this entire draft class, has the best chance to be a starter day one and an impact starter at that. So I gave that a B plus. Number 124, I had Malik Mustafa. They took Malik Mustafa, safety out of Wake Forest. Hafunga last year on his contract, also coming off an ACL injury. I definitely think safety was a spot they should have, explored. And Malik Mustafa, he's a good player. Basic size for a safety, like 5'11", 5'10", I believe. Um, Nothing really extraordinary about him, I'd say, so it's good value for a player you need. I gave that a B. Next, we got Isaac Guerendo, running back out of Louisville. This is a little different. I think a lot of teams, taking a third running back around this range is I had kind of have an issue with it, but the Niners, obviously, we know running back by committee, besides McCaffrey, how much they need those guys. But I think there were guys better than Guerendo available. I know he's incredibly fast, right? But I think guys like Braylon Allen would have been better spots here. Also, look, at the end of the day, you just really don't need a running back here. But I mean, I don't know. Who's the back that they have now? Elijah something, the guy who's always hurt behind McCaffrey. If he's not there long term, then and Garendo's your RB2, I don't have a problem with that at all. So, it is what it is. I give that a B minus. Jacob Cowing at 135 here. He's very small, very undersized. I think he's like 5'8", 160 or something like that. So he's going to struggle to see the field. Might be a special teams guy, but also he could definitely be a guy where 3 years from now, right? Let's say the Niners have moved on from Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, which is incredibly likely. We probably have the remainder of those two, Pearsall on the outside, Cowing in the slot. I don't think that's a bad scenario. I think he did probably get drafted a little bit higher than most people were thinking. Maybe a bit of a reach, but I gave that a B. I don't think it's a bad pick. Number 215, Jarrett Kingston, USC offensive lineman, has versatility, experience playing guard and center. Um, you know, helping to improve that offensive line, they definitely need help, right? So I gave that a B. I think it's good value as well for 215 in the seventh round right there. So good job. Or I think it was sixth round actually. Good job by the Niners there. And then Tatum Bethune, I actually gave this their steal of the draft because here's a guy who's a projected fifth round pick, I believe. Get him right at the end, almost undrafted, which is kind of surprising. Nothing spectacular about him. No great size or athleticism or anything like that. But fifth round guy in the seventh round, that's a steal in my opinion. So I gave that a B. That problem with the Niners here, right, is that you're a team trying to compete for a Super Bowl. And I really don't see any of these guys, maybe besides Pooney and Pearsall and maybe Renardo Green in the like the nickel, but I really don't see any of these guys being impact players right away, right? And there were other spots where I already told you how I think they fumbled their first two picks, where you could have really like if you would have taken Cooper DeJean, fucking who are some fucking receivers available? I know I'm thinking fucking Cooper DeJean, Troy Franklin, Dominic Pooney, first three picks. I'm clapping it up. I'm clapping it up because that completely changed. It would have been an A pick for DeJean, an A plus or fuck it. I'll give it an A minus pick for Troy Franklin. And the draft would be completely different. Here's how I graded out 5.19. Honestly, it's not that great. I thought the Niners draft was disappointing. They didn't walk away with the players I thought they would. They didn't really do anything special. I mean, their highest pick was a B plus. So a lot of guys that I don't think are going to help them right away. So I gave them a B minus, and yeah, not a great draft in my opinion. Moving on to the Rams, though, who did have a really good draft. Let's get into it. Jared Verse at number 19. I gave this an A plus. For some reason, I don't know why. The whole time I had the Rams going cornerback, and then when they signed Tre'Davious White, Darius Williams, I started switching it up. I'm pretty sure I mocked Jared Verse them at some point in the mock draft. So honestly, Dallas Turner off the board, Latu off the board. Jared Verse was the best defensive lineman available, and they took him. That gets an A plus for me. No questions asked. Number 39, Braden Fiskey. This is where I have some issues, right? Because you could have had some other players. When I say other players, you already had Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Jared Verse. Did you really need, like honestly here, did you really need another defensive lineman? Some Rams fans would say yes. I would say no. Cooper DeJean, Edgerrin Cooper, you could have, yeah, say DB help, linebacker help. I don't think doubling up on the defensive line was the best decision. However, it's a good decision. I still gave it a B plus, which means I still like the pick. It's still a good pick. I love the fact you're reuniting Fiskey and Jared Verse, but the defensive line is incredibly like Rams defensive line. Jared Verse, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Braden Fiskey. That's scary. That's four very good young players all on rookie contracts. The Rams defensive line could be very, very scary 2 years from now. So keep an eye on that. But, still a good pick at 39 for Braden Fiskey. Number 83, you took Blake Corum here. I gave this their steal of the draft because I definitely thought Corum was going to go in the top 50 to 55. So to get him at 83, I think is good value. And you got Kyron Williams, right? But think about the other guys they have and have had, right? Before Kyron Williams, it was rough. Between Todd Gurley, Kyron Williams, I know you had a little bit of Sam or Cam Akers in there, but he got hurt. They've been looking for a good running back for a while. They found it last year, but honestly, Kyron Williams has missed 12 games apparently the last 2 years, so he's had a bit of an injury issue. So if he's not healthy, you got Blake Corum, and even if they're both healthy, you could do a bit. I'm talking way too fast. You could do a little bit of the Lions with the Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery situation. So I think two running backs. There's nothing wrong with that. I think each team should look to have at least two good running backs on the roster. So I like the Blake Corum pick, gave it a B plus, but obviously, you could have gone some other situations there. Linebacker, corner, a lot of other options. But they did go DB here at 99. Cam Kitchens, I love this pick. Cam Kitchens, an absolute ball hawk, possibly the best deep zone safety in the draft in terms of just sitting back and running around the field, making plays happen. I gave this an A, honestly. I don't think it's a steal like everybody else is saying. I expected him to go late second, early third round. So 99, I think it's good value. I think it is, great value, actually. So you took a player you needed right at DB, good value. I gave it an A. I think it's just a very, very good pick by the Rams. Their first four picks, honestly, they walked away with four guys who I expect to be big, big time contributors. So that's a very good decision by them. 154, honestly, this is starting to get into the range where I really didn't like the Rams draft. Brennan Jenkins, right? Doubling down on edge rusher and doubling down on a guy who I did not think was great value either. A bit of a reach on a guy who I don't think is going to play much. You already got Jared Verse, you got Byron Young. I don't love this pick. I thought linebacker definitely linebacker at 154 was the way to go. They did not do that, so I gave that a C plus. I thought it was the worst pick. Also, Tyler Davis, same thing. What like you already drafted defensive end, defensive tackle. You drafted another defensive end, another defensive tackle. I think Tyler Davis is slightly better value at 196. That's why I gave him a B minus and not a C plus. But again, I just don't love this the decision to double down on positions where not only did you draft him this year, you drafted him last year. So in best case scenario, Tyler Davis is your third defensive tackle. I don't love that. Joshua Carty, kicker. Every team that drafts a kicker, sorry, swears their kicker is the best. So I don't really know how to feel about that. They needed a kicker. They got a kicker. I gave that a B. Not much to say about that. Jordan Whittington, they wanted a receiver. They wanted Brennan Rice. They got Jordan Whittington. He has some things you like about him. He's a very good blocker, former running back converted to receiver, so he's more of a slot guy. I don't mind the pick. Was he supposed to get drafted? I'm not sure. I think he was probably going to be an undrafted guy, but I gave it a B minus because he does a lot of the things that other receivers don't do. So I think Sean McVay is going to like that. I think he is going to earn a job on special teams, if nothing else. 217, Bo Limmer. I actually like this a lot. Interior offensive line was a spot where I thought they should have drafted some depth pieces, and they got one here. And also good value here. This could have easily been their steal of the draft. I think it was like a fourth or fifth round guy. So to get him at the end of the sixth, I think is really good value. So shout out to the Rams. I gave that a B plus. That was a really good pick right there. Also, KT Livingston out of Kansas State. He was a guy who's supposed to go fifth, sixth round. They get him right at the very end of the draft. So I gave that a B. So middle of their draft, right, from the Washington State guy to Jordan Whittington, I really didn't love. But their last two picks to get interior offensive linemen at 217 and 254 that I think are both going to make the roster, that's really impressive by the Rams. So I like that a lot. Not as a Seahawks fan, I hate that, but I think the Rams pulled it out. First four picks, amazing. Middle four picks, not so much. Last two picks, very good. So I give him a 5.85, which is a B plus. I decided to round up. Not quite as good as the Cardinals, but still very, very good overall. And then you got my Seahawks. This is where the bias is going to come into play here. Matter of fact, let me turn my mic. Let me do a preemptive mic check right here. Hello, hello. Okay. I cannot have my mic dying during the Seahawks rant. So that's what it's going to be, man. I was not happy with my draft at all, or the Seahawks draft at all. So let's get right into it, man. Byron Murphy, D plus. Worst pick of our draft. One of the worst picks of the first round, right up there with Ricky Pearsall and JJ McCarthy, man. I really didn't like this pick. I really, really didn't like this pick. Let me break down why. Byron Murphy, the player. I personally am lower on him than a lot of these other people. I had him in like number 30, 31 on my big board because I did not see the potential as a pass rusher. If you're going to draft a defensive tackle at number 16, if you're going to make a defensive tackle the second defensive player drafted in the entire draft, he better have some insane upside as a pass rusher. I saw that with Johnny Newton. I didn't see that with Byron Murphy. So that's what concerns me immediately about the player. I don't think the player was worth a top 20 pick. I don't think he's the best defensive tackle available. I definitely don't think he was the best defensive player available. Now, let's talk about the Seahawks' needs and what we could have done here, right? Here's just a couple players I would have rather had at this pick than Byron Murphy, okay? Uh, Jackson Powers Johnson, Troy Fatanu, um, any really of the other offensive linemen, Amarius Mims, Graham Barton, you know what I mean? Any of those four guys, defensive players, Cooper DeJean, any DB really. I would have taken. We had our pick of any defensive back. I would have had DeJean, Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell. I would have rather had all those guys. Nate Wiggins, all those guys over Byron Murphy, right? Let's talk about the other edge rushers. Jared Verse, Dallas Turner. First of all, Dallas Turner fell. I thought he was going to go at 8. He was available at 16. We didn't take him. So we didn't take any of the edge rushers. Didn't take any of the offensive linemen. Didn't take any of the DBs. So there's about 12 guys, right? About 12 I would have rather had over Byron Murphy, right? We didn't do any of that, and that's fine. But guess what we could have done? We could have traded back with the Vikings. And you cannot tell me we couldn't have traded back with the Vikings because they traded up to 17. So the Jaguars had no problem trading back. Who do you think the Vikings called first? Do you think the Vikings called the team with the 16th pick first or the 17th pick first? They definitely called us first, and we refused to trade back. We could have got an extra second or third round pick to draft a linebacker, which we did not really do. So all of those things, there are about 12 or 13 situations I would have rather have gone with than drafting Byron Murphy. Okay. Here's what I will say. It was a very similar situation last year with Devon Witherspoon, right? I was not very high on that player. I thought it was a massive reach. I was very upset with that pick. Okay. But the difference is Pete Carroll had a long history and success rate in the draft. Okay. Mike McDonald, this is his first draft ever. This is his first pick ever. So I think the room, the benefit of the doubt, I'd say, is not that high with this pick compared to Devin Witherspoon. So honestly, I am really hoping Byron Murphy proves me wrong. I need him to prove me wrong because or else, whew, man, that's man. If he's just a run stuffing defensive tackle, this is a really bad pick, man. Number 81, though, I gave this an A plus, our best pick of the entire draft. Christian Hayes. Christian Hayes, according to most people, was the best pure interior offensive lineman in the entire draft, right? Obviously, when I say pure interior offensive, I mean guard, right? Jackson Powers Johnson is the best, but I'm talking about a guy that came out as a guard, projects as a guard, all that, right? Christian Hayes is probably the best. And to get him at 81, this is a guy who I thought was going to go in the late second round. We got him in the middle of the third round. Also, our biggest need, I'd say, on the entire team. I gave us an A plus. I think he's going to come in, be a day one starter, and I love that, man. A really, really good pick by us, and the only bright spot in our first four here. Because let's go to the next pick, Tyree Snipe. It's a reach on the player. He was a guy that was supposed to go in the fifth or sixth round, I believe. We took him at the top of the fourth, I think. Maybe the middle of the fourth. I don't even know. Um, there were so many linebackers I'd rather have. This is probably I don't even. I mean, Etchenberg, Jalen Ford, Jeremiah Trotter, just so many other guys. Honestly, it's just like so many guys I would have rather had. Tyrese Knight, small school, um, not great size. You know, I hope he's a good player. I really do hope. He sits for next year, learns from Jerome Ford, Tyrell Dotson, guys like that. But man, I just have no confidence in this pick. I gave it a C plus. Um, Number 121, AJ Barner, blocking tight end out of Michigan. Does not really provide much as a pass catcher. I hope he does, but I give this a C, man. Honestly, man, these two picks back to back, man, it's just I don't know what you want me to tell you. Wow. Nehemiah Pritchard out of Auburn. He's pretty fast apparently. Um, that's all I can really tell you. It's a bit of a reach. Did not think he'd be taken this highly according to most people. I gave it a B minus. Yeah. Satoa Lamia out of Utah. This is an A. Apparently, it was a steal. Our biggest steal of the draft, supposed to go a round or two higher than where we got him at. Has a lot of experience playing guard, also playing right tackle. He's a guy who I think is going to start out at guard for us. Maybe not win the job immediately. Probably going to be a backup guard, but out of all our interior offensive linemen, I think if a guy like Lucas got hurt, he has the best chance to kick out to that right tackle spot and fill in nicely. So I love that pick for us. I think we needed to draft two interior offensive linemen, and that's what we did. So I really like that pick for us. DJ James, cornerback, another cornerback out of Auburn. We took both of them. I think he actually has a way more. Let me say this. I think he's way better value at 192 than Pritchard was at 136. I wish we would just not drafted Pritchard at all and drafted Jeremiah Trotter at 136. But what the fuck do I know? So DJ James, I gave that a B. I think one of these two cornerbacks are probably going to end up, seeing, playing time for us. I don't know which one. Um, yeah. 207, Michael Jarrell. He's the guy who's projected to go undrafted. We took him in the sixth round, so that's a C. Not a good pick in my opinion, but yeah. We got a D plus, a C, a C, C plus. Man, honestly, this might be the lowest grade I've given out so far. I think the Falcons were right there with us, but man, as a Seahawks fan, this draft was rough, man. I came in with such high expectations. When all the defensive players were falling, I'm like, oh my God, there's no way we can mess this up. There's no way we can not draft a guy at 16 who is I'm just gonna love this pick. And we somehow, literally, honestly, because all the quarterbacks were off the board, I think Byron Murphy is literally the only player we could have drafted that I would have felt this bad about. Honestly, if we would have drafted Johnny Newton, I would have been pretty happy. All these other guys, I would have been happy. Fucking Byron Murphy. I don't get it, man. Seahawks are the worst in the division, one of the worst in the entire league. Niners are right there with us. Don't get it twisted. Niners were not great, but they were slightly better than us. And the Cardinals and the Rams both had pretty good drafts, in my opinion. So that's gonna be it for this video, man. Leave a like if you enjoyed. I'm going through it, man. Thanks for watching, I guess. I don't even know, man. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.